Good morning. Happy Monday. I had a very weird experience this morning. I'm just getting out of the shower. It's like it's probably around 5. I was just getting up and getting ready to go take my shower, and I heard what I thought was like yelling or fighting, and I was like, oh shit. Like, it sounded like there's some guys fighting outside the truck. And one of my first thoughts is like, what if someone has a gun? Because of course that's one of the things that you start thinking about. I open my door, and it turns out it's 2 guys in the truck next to me that are shit-faced, and they're just drunk and being really loud. And I look down, and there's a fucking whole bunch of cigarette butts on the ground, and garbage, and like empty cigarette pack, and like mystery liquid, probably piss. And then I walk around the back of my truck, and they had taken an empty like 12-pack of beer and just like shoved it under the back of my bumper. Like, obviously it was those guys who did that. Like, why are you gonna leave something blatantly behind someone's truck like they're not gonna notice that shit? I've been looking at my truck all weekend. You keep a close eye on your truck at all times. It's just something you do. And I came back around to grab stuff. I was just going toward the back of my truck, and then I came back up and grabbing my stuff to go take my shower. And this guy staggers out of the driver's side, and he's like, you all right? You all right? And I'm like, I didn't even think about it. I just go, don't talk to me. I just grab my keys, like, oh, all right. And he like staggers around the front of the truck. I'm just like, I don't know, being drunk in a truck stop is such a weird place to be drunk. And here's the interesting part. That truck is gone. So whoever was in that truck and was hammered, yep, they left. They drove that truck. Yeah. Okay. And this is the mess they left next to my truck. Nice, right? Thanks, guys. All right, well, I arrived right on time for my first drop-off here in kind of in the Minneapolis area. I always want to say Minneapolis. I have to catch myself and think about it every time. And turns out I wasn't supposed to be here. Yeah, my company updated it on their end on the 15th. Today's the 18th. But it never came through as updated in my shitty computer that they have in my truck. So I just wasted some time, which is always great, but never a surprise. So on we go to the next set of stops. Apparently the rest of them are correct. Let's hope so. I was just like, why is this paperwork not making sense with me being at this stop? I should have caught it sooner, but the paperwork is pretty confusing, to be honest with you. It's a lot of numbers and a lot of words, and I'm just a driver. Oh man. It's another weird day. So they sent me to this place that's a mix of residential and commercial again. Everything is super tight, and on top of the spot that I'm in, there's a road closure of a major road that I need to get out of here. But unfortunately, I am unable to do the maneuver I need to do without my clutch overheating again. I really wonder if it's like a issue with this particular tractor. It is real annoying, because I have barely enough room to do the maneuver, and that includes having to go over a curb because there's just not enough room. But unfortunately, it's overheating when I'm in the middle of doing. It's always in the same position where it starts to overheat. It's really weird. So I'm gonna have to try to get out of here going a different way and hope that I can, because I'm going through residential streets and it's not great, but I don't think I really have a choice. So. And then, yeah, they sent me to a place where I wasn't supposed to go, and then they sent me to a place that's really tricky, and I'm just trying to get out of here, and I don't think I'm going to make the delivery that I wanted to make today before the place closes, so it kind of sucks, but couldn't be helped. These things take time. It's another weird day, man. I just want to show something, and sorry for my really gross windshield right now, but you see where that's a hot shot, by the way, for those of you who don't know, but where he's parked, I was thinking about parking there because I just hate being parked in between trucks, and I'm currently parked in between other trucks, and it was pretty crowded in the truck stop, and I thought, oh, it'd be so nice just to be over there by myself, you know, and there's enough room. There's other trucks behind, like over here, sorry, pointing over there, but I knew I would leave enough room, but I was like, nah, I should leave that space for someone who really needs it. Well, then just now this guy pulled in. And these are the kind of drivers, I'm just sharing this for anybody who's new, who's watching. These are the kind of drivers that have these types of really long, oversized type trailers or oversized loads that you want to leave those types of spaces for if they are in the truck stop. Not, you know, if you're uncomfortable backing your truck and you're just going to use that spot because you don't want to back, don't do that if you can avoid it, because, you know, these guys need those spots. Although I don't know where he's going now. Maybe he's not going to stay there, but just a thought. My face just got so flushed. I don't know why. I just got done for the day. It wasn't too hard of a day at all. Just a weird day. It started off with those like drunk guys, and I keep questioning. I'm like, did that guy really, was he drunk and then drove his truck? And I'm questioning myself because I don't remember smelling alcohol, but I saw the empty beers that they left under my trailer for some reason. And the behavior was like, I'm like, why would you question it? Like, I've been a bartender for a long time, so it's like, you can tell when people are belligerent or like, I don't know, those guys were messed up. It was a really weird way to start the day. That was the first time I've ever encountered other truckers that were under the influence like that, and the last thing I expected was for that truck to be gone. When I came back, I thought for sure it'd be closed up, and you know, because the one guy looked like he was getting out, I thought maybe, well, they're done partying and this truck is going to be there. This guy's doing a 34, so he's going to sleep it off or something. I was shocked to see that truck having been moved. Then they sent me to a place that was in my PC in my truck that was supposed to have been removed, which I didn't realize, and I should have done a better look at the paperwork, but I didn't fully understand the paperwork, and I should have made sure that I did, and I didn't because I was caught up in all the stuff that was going on Friday, which is the day I filmed that video where I was doing the securement on this load that I have. So I stopped at a place I didn't need to. I wasted probably about a half hour by doing that and wasted the guy's time there. He was fine. He didn't care. But it's just, you never want to waste time going somewhere you don't need to go. Although it was on the route. So it wasn't like I went way off route or anything like that, at least. What else happened today that was weird? This day was just kind of weird. At one point during the day, I got really tired and I just pulled off and took a nap for like 25 minutes. And it really helped. Sometimes when you feel like that, you just have to stop. You just have to, when you start getting, your eyelids are heavy and you start yawning like crazy, sometimes you just gotta stop. So that was kind of weird. And then I came to this, I've been to this Pilot or Flying J a bunch of times that's in Sioux Falls, and it is a dive. There aren't any good or cleaner truck stops in this area. Last I checked, there were 12 people waiting in line for the shower. So I was like, well, I guess I'll skip the evening shower today and just take one in the morning. Yeah, I a lot of times try to get away with both, because after driving, it loosens up my muscles. It feels good. It's like my way of relaxing before I go to bed. And in the morning, it helps me wake up. So I know that's a little extreme to some people, but I've been doing it for years. I'm only about 10 minutes away from my next drop off on this load, and that is going to be first thing tomorrow, but they don't open until, I think she said 8:30, and I was like, well, I'll be there when they open. So I'm gonna have a later start, even though I'd prefer not to, but that's the way it goes. And then I will make it to my delivery in Iowa tomorrow, and then probably hit Nebraska, I'm guessing the next day. I need to double check the timing and all that and see if I could possibly, I don't think I can knock both out in one day. That's all I got. I feel like there was more that I wanted to share, but I guess that was it. So I'll catch up with you later. I'm in the back corner of a gross truck stop. It's just a pretty gross one. And this is my yoga mat that I keep in my side box, and you can see how dirty it is. And that's why there's one that goes in my side box that's for outside, for like less clean environments. And then there's one that I have as like my only using indoor one. So if I work somewhere, so let's look at this sky. I know you can't see the subtleties of the color that I can see, but it's pretty cool. If I'm at a terminal or something that has a space where I can do some yoga, I use the indoor mat. But this is for places like rest areas, or like this, a little corner of a truck stop. It's grassy, it's clean-ish, as clean as any space can be in a truck stop. And there's actually like an area right up here that I could use also. But I like this spot because there's a trailer that someone just left here without a tractor, and it's a little bit hidden, so I feel like I have a little bit of privacy. So yeah, I fold this up so that the part that I actually use stays relatively clean. Like, it's stained, but it's actually fairly clean, versus rolling it up, so like what's on the bottom doesn't get on the inside. And then I just came around this corner, around this trailer, and noticed this really pretty bush of sunflowers, you know. And it's like the sunset and the sunflowers. I'm in a crappy truck stop, but I try really hard to find like little bits of beauty, of natural beauty, where I can. So I'm gonna put on my a video by Yoga with Adrienne, who I use religiously anytime I get to do yoga, anytime I have an opportunity. I actually have the membership on, it's findwhatfeelsgood.com or fwfg.com. Totally recommend that if you're someone who wants to get into yoga. It's a very approachable person to learn from, and even just starting with what she has on YouTube, she has amazing content. So I'm gonna do one of those, maybe a little short 20-minute restorative end of day kind of yoga sesh, and I'm grateful for just being able to find a little space to do it and carve out a little time to do it. That's what it takes to sometimes keep your headspace healthier. So I just thought I would share that with you guys. Good morning, friends. I'm just waiting to get unloaded here. The guy at the place who's unloading me, the forklift operator, is doing something with a hot shot tire, like replacing a tire. He's like, well, let me finish replacing this tire and then you can pull in here. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm waiting a little bit, that's fine. And I hit another detour this morning. It is nonstop construction season. It feels like almost year round, and that's one of those things I've talked about a little bit when you do trucking that you have to be mentally prepared for, is that if it's not construction season, that just means the weather is really bad. So it's one or the other, and there are so many places that have detours right now. I'm just thankful that today's detour didn't send me on a mystery mission through a residential neighborhood like yesterday in St. Paul, because St. Paul is one of the least truck friendly places I have been in, period. It's so, the streets are so small, the drivers do not give a fuckity fuck. It's not enjoyable at all, let me tell you. This morning I went in the truck stop to take a shower, and another disgusting flying J. It's like they're in a competition with each other to out-filth each other or something. It's crazy. It's like they just don't care. They don't care, and they know that they don't have to care because there's such a limit that we just got to go there anyway. But when I was coming out, this particular one is one of those ones that has like there's a lot of these flying J's that have like a TV room where they have chairs, and they have a couple like massage chairs, and there was a guy, I always see it at this particular one, there was a guy sleeping in the chair, and I was thinking, that poor guy, man, he's probably one of those hotshot guys or something that needed a place to just catch some sleep, you know. I feel so sad for people when I see him sleeping in a chair like that. I want to be like, here's money for, or like, I want to do something. I don't have money, but I want to do something for them, because it makes me think of like the times when I was a kid and I knew my dad was on the road, and I was worrying about him and feeling sad for him. And I think about, this guy may have a family that is thinking about him, and he's sleeping in a chair because he's just doing what he needs to do to feed his family or whatever, you know. Like, it's really hard for a lot of people out here, and that's why I say respect the hustle. Whatever people are doing to get by, some of it is really tough, and if you know, sometimes that means sleeping in a chair, you know. But he had, I wish I could have, I wouldn't have, you know, violated his privacy, but I wish I could have got a picture because it was really sweet. He had a huge bulldog. I think it was a bulldog mix. It had like a really beautiful brindle coat, and it was a big beefy dog, and it was sleeping next to him in the chair next to him with its head up on the edge and its like droopy wrinkly face. It was so sweet. It's like, I'm sleeping next to my dad. It was the sweetest thing. It was like this guy had his doggy, and the dog was, you know, it was very heart melting. So even though I felt sad for the guy having to sleep in the chair, I felt glad for him that he had a sweet Bubba next to him. Whenever I see a dog like that, it's automatically a Bubba. That's what I think of them. Like, male, female, doesn't matter. That's a big Bubba. I wish I had a dog so bad. That's one of the major downsides of the apartment that I'm moving into. The other being that the landlords are much older and very, very, very strict. I'm never going to be home really, so it kind of doesn't matter that much, but They're 1,000,000% no pets allowed, and I really wish I could get a dog and have it with me in the truck, and then, you know, have a place where I could have a crate and train, you know, crate train the dog, so if I needed to run out, the dog could be in the crate or whatever. But it's definitely not an option there, so I'm gonna have to wait at least one more year without a dog in my life, and that is kind of heartbreaking. But eventually, I know it's weird to not hear anything running in the background. It's weird to record and it be so quiet. But anyway, hopefully it'll get me unloaded here. And then after this, I'm headed to my next stop in Sioux Falls right now. Headed to Iowa for the next unload. And then, for first a fuel stop, then an unload. And then tomorrow, my final unload on this trailer is in Lincoln, Nebraska. So getting her done, you know. Yeah, so I'll keep you updated. Hello for my end of day. I got rained on pretty hard today when I was getting unloaded. I would have got some video, but it wasn't really convenient. I just stopped at McDonald's, which is a super rarity for me, but I just had a craving for some fries, so I got some fries, and I just wanted to share a little story about what happened when I was there. Nothing major, but it was super busy. And there was like this group of teenage girls that was kind of like being teenage girls, you know, and waiting for their food. And the girl behind the counter keeps yelling out numbers, and she's just hustling, you know. And then there's this guy who's a trucker who's trying to use the kiosk to order, and he can't get it to work for cash. He wants to pay cash, and he's like getting pissed. And he just kind of yells over to the girl, not in a crazy way, but he's just like, hey, how do I pay cash on this? I don't have time for this. He's like getting irritated. And as soon as the girl starts to walk out from behind the counter, he changes his tune, like, because she walks out, she clearly has, I think she has cerebral palsy, where I didn't know this before what I'm about to tell you, but she, it looked like it only pretty much affected her lower body, so you could see it with her gait. But she walked over pretty quickly despite having like this mobility issue. And she was like, oh, I'm very sorry, sir. I'm very sorry. Like, she was super apologetic. He's like, no, it's okay. And like his demeanor changed when he saw her walk over, I think. And when I was a personal trainer, I had the opportunity to train a young man who had cerebral palsy, and it only affected his lower body, which I didn't know before that was a thing. I thought it was always like a universal thing. Sorry, this thing doesn't want to stay open for some reason. It's being a jerk. It's the angle my truck is sitting on. Anyway, his name was Matt, and he was this amazing kid. And because it affected his lower body, he was able to do like a lot of lifting things with his upper body, but some with the lower body, but less. And he would occasionally like trip over his own feet and just fall down, and he would just bounce back up. And he was like the most sweet, positive, happy, just awesome kid. He was such an awesome kid. He was in his early 20s, I want to say, and he wanted to compete in bodybuilding, and I had competed previously in bodybuilding, so he wanted me to be his trainer. I was at this tiny studio. There were just 4 of us, so I trained him as best I could, you know. And I was always like I would almost say like overly conservative as a trainer, like paranoid about hurting people, because I had spent a lot of time dealing with my own issues, but like injuries and stuff, but also working with these high-level physical therapists, and it made me almost like too cautious and always just paranoid about not making the best selection of exercises and causing people problems and being like super nitpicky about form and alignment and all this stuff. It was probably a little much. I mean, I was trying to do a good job. Anyway, Matt was awesome. You know, he trained with me a couple times a week, and he was able to do a lot, and I had to set aside my anal retentiveness because the way his body was aligned allowed for only a certain level of alignment and perfectionism, you know, because he was compromised. And it was just such a cool experience. And then the day of his competition, I was on the side of the stage and like, you know, being kind of choked up because he was out there doing his poses and doing his routine. And the audience was so awesome. They were like, yes, like it's so inspiring to see someone who clearly has a physical difference, disability, however you want to put it, limitation, clearly a limitation, go out there and just perform, just do his thing, do the best he possibly can with a positive attitude and just kill it, you know. And I can't remember what he ended up winning exactly, but he won a nice trophy and a significant award in that competition, and everybody was like on their feet clapping for him, and he was ecstatic. because he was working so hard and he was texting me constantly, asking me all these questions and stuff. And I was like, oh man, Matt, you got to stop texting me so much. But it was funny. Anyway, that was a really inspiring story. I just want to share it because there are so many people who have like limitations, and some of them we can see, some of them we can't. But people like that are all around us, and we kind of don't pay as much attention to them, or maybe we feel sorry for them, or we think that they're lesser or something because that's the way we were conditioned, because maybe some of us grew up in a time where that's how it was. Because when I was growing up, I remember a kid in one of my classes who had CP, and he was just like ignored by everyone, including the teacher. I felt like, when I think back, it really bothers me. It's just, things change. But anyway, there are a lot of things people can do that you might not expect. And so when I saw this girl at this McDonald's like hustling her ass off, and it was crowded, and it made me think of like, she's not letting anything limit her. So whenever you have things going on in your life that you want, like a challenge and a fear thing, and you're like limiting yourself, remember people like that exist, and they'll just run circles around you. All right, that's my inspirational story for the day. I'm gonna eat my fries before they get cold.